Welcome to Module 6 of the Administration Code Regulation 703 KAR 5:080. My name is Pam Powers and I'm with the Office of Assessment and Accountability. Module 6 will focus on test security, the review of secure assessment components, test irregularities and allegations, and the proper reporting of student data and non-academic indicators. Please note, the page number on the slides represents the information found in the regulation document itself. At this point in the process, you still have the secure test materials. If you are a BAC, you will be working out with your DAC or District Assessment Coordinator how to handle the return of materials to the vendor. For some tests, you may be packing and sending from the school. For other tests, you may be sending those materials back to the district to be returned to the vendor in one large shipment. After testing is complete, it is time to securely destroy the seal codes, test tickets, scratch paper, and any other materials outlined in the test administration manual that should not be returned to the vendor. Some districts have these items securely destroyed by the school. Others have everything brought to the DAC. This is a local policy decision. Test booklets, answer documents, these types of materials must be returned to the vendor. Follow the instructions from your DAC on the proper procedures to use. If you are responsible for packing these materials, please refer to the administration guide for guidance. Scratch paper has been accumulating all through our testing window and should be treated as secure materials. Some of our scratch paper could be in the test ticket pile that students use for scratch paper as well. As your materials ship back to the vendor, it is time to securely destroy all scratch paper according to your district policy. Test tickets and answer documents should be treated as secure materials. Some of our test tickets could be in the scratch paper pile if students used it for scratch paper. As your materials ship back to the vendor, it is time to securely destroy all the test tickets according to your district policy. Completed answer documents will be returned to the vendor for scoring. Depending upon the assessment, you may or may not return blank answer documents. Please refer to the test administration manual for guidance on how to handle blank answer documents. The review of secure assessment components has shifted from the district to the Kentucky Department of Education, or KDE. Let's look at how those items may be reviewed. There may be times when persons outside of the education environment request to see secure materials. Schools and districts do not have to take on the responsibility of allowing access to those materials. This duty has moved to KDE. Oftentimes, the requests may come in after secure materials are no longer in the district. KDE keeps on file in paper format all state-required assessments. For those willing to physically come to Frankfort, KDE may make arrangements for specific concerns to be addressed with the appropriate staff from the Office of Assessment and Accountability. Anyone reviewing a test item or items will be required to sign a legally binding non-disclosure form. As much as we try to have a perfect test administration, test irregularities can occur. Sometimes the irregularities will rise to an allegation. Determination if a test irregularity is an allegation should be made by the DAC and/or the BAC. The definition of a test irregularity is unplanned occurrences during a test administration that may be resolved at the district level or could result in additional investigations by the state. These investigations may lead to the reporting of an allegation. So what does a test irregularity look like? These are some examples of test irregularities. All of these are not allegations, but may need to be investigated to determine that status. All test irregularities should be documented and maintained in the district. Getting statements quickly from all parties involved will assist the DAC to know if an allegation should be filed. When you look at this list, which ones do you think rise to the level of an allegation? There are two: student leaving the room without authorization and the student not provided his or her accommodations. Would all of the other examples automatically not be an allegation? No. Each test irregularity would need to be investigated to determine if proper procedures were followed. If uncertain, please talk with your DAC or BAC. We always get the question concerning materials in the classroom during an emergency. It is spring when we do our K-Prep testing, and this is usually a time of spring storms and tornadoes. If you can secure the materials, please do so, but the safety of your students takes precedence over the test materials. KDE will work with you if something happens to your test materials. In case you are wondering, we have had a tornado come through and take materials into another state. No students were harmed, which is what is important. These are the broad allegation categories or issue codes used for filing an allegation. Notice that the examples correspond to the information we have covered in the administration code training. Let's look more closely at each category. Inappropriate practice or improper assistance. This includes comments indicating evaluation of student work, any actions, comments, or feedback, be that physical, verbal, or written, that assist students in answering a question or completing the test answers. Use of specific test item knowledge to prepare students for the assessment, and allowing students to change or complete answers after the time limit. Our second category, monitoring issues or student inappropriate actions. Testing staff not actively circulating or not maintaining a conducive testing environment. A student worked ahead into other test parts or returned to previously administered test parts. Students sharing answers through any manner, including physical gestures, written or electronic means. Now, as we go through these, remember these are the examples we're giving you are just some of the things that this could be, but there could be others. On to the security of testing materials. Test materials left unattended or not securely stored. Unaccounted for test materials. Allowing untrained individuals or those without DAC or BAC permission to access secure materials. Sharing in any manner knowledge of specific items. Allowing students to carry or have secure test materials without supervision. Then we have the materials, resources, and electronic devices category. Some examples would be staff providing materials that are not a part of the state required assessment, not providing resources as directed in testing manuals, displaying content information on surfaces in the testing environment, inappropriate use of electronic devices during testing sessions. Now we come to testing order and time. Staff not administering the test parts in the order they appear in the test booklets, or not observing session time limits. We also have the special populations and accommodations category, and you'll find out more about that if you listen to the inclusion of special populations training. Some of those examples are staff failed to provide accommodations or provided inappropriate accommodations per the ISP, PSP, or 504 plan, staff not following appropriate administration guidelines for the alternate assessment test components, such as the transition attainment record or TAR, and the attainment task. And finally, we get to our other category, The other category is just what it says, it's other. So it can include such things as incidents or allegations that occurred but are not limited to the following actions, such as test fraud, test theft, test prep, inappropriate reporting of student data and non-academic indicators, training issues, test security breach, etc., etc. So if it doesn't fall into one of the other categories, you would place it here in other when you go to file an allegation. Allegations may be reported by anyone through notifying the school or district staff or directly to KDE. Allegations can be reported anonymously through phone calls or emails. The reported information must be sufficient enough to warrant an investigation. Reports that lack enough information are stalled and cannot be followed up on with an investigation. Allegations reported to DACS should be relayed to KDE through the District Assessment Coordinator. DACS, in turn, will submit the information online. Here's the process in a little more detail. Investigation results go to a Board of Review, who sends their recommendations to the Commissioner of Education, who will make the final determination. The district will receive a letter from KDE stating the actions to be taken. There are a few more parts of the state assessment and accountability system: reporting student data and non-academic indicators. Non-academic information submitted to KDE is expected to be as accurate as possible at the time of submission. However, there are opportunities to correct errors that are discovered, and that's during the data review process. Embargoes are placed around different types of data at multiple times throughout the year. The embargoes are in place to allow the review of data for accuracy before the data is released to the public. Releasing embargoed data can result in misinformation being shared and inaccurate data being used for decision making. KDE clearly communicates embargo time periods as well as when the data is available to the public. A violation of the embargo could result in not having early access to future pre-release data. Non-academic data, such as graduation codes, are entered directly into Infinite Campus, or IC, and retrieved from there for inclusion into public reporting for assessment and accountability. IC is considered the authoritative source for this data. This concludes Module 6 of 6 of the Administration Code Regulation. Please review all 6 modules to complete the Administration Code training. If you have specific questions about the Administration Code training, Module 6, or any module-related questions, please feel free to contact KDE DAC Information at dacinfo@education.ky.gov or call 502-564-4394. Thank you for your time and participation.